Hello, welcome to Fun Cars and Good People. My name is Carl. In this video, I'm going to install an Apple CarPlay plus Android Auto interface to the infotainment system of this 2008 BMW E90 with CCC head units. This interface is from Mr. 12 Volt in Hong Kong, and it is designed to integrate to the MOST loop of the infotainment system. In other words, the interface sends sound signals via optical fiber to the original amplifier on the car, so we can have a high-end sound quality. I will explain this in detail and also give my review on this Apple CarPlay and Android Auto interface. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy the DIY walkthrough. This is the infotainment system of the 2008 BMW E90. This generation is called iDrive CCC, which does not have Bluetooth music streaming, only the Bluetooth hands-free functions for telephones. The available external sound sources are the radio, music CD, or auxiliary jack. Some cars have the TV option, but it's impossible to use as an external sound input. Since I usually listen to music and podcasts via Spotify while driving, the simplest solution for me was this USB to Lightning plus aux-in cable. I could charge my phone and play music at the same time with one accessory rather than multiple adapters and cables. However, I could only find such products from China, whose quality is low and breaks down easily. This is why I had to look for another solution. Besides the demand for audio playback, I also use Google Maps a lot. I usually placed my smartphone on top of the ashtray and left the iDrive screen turned off because there was really no use of it. So I had to look down for the information on the phone, which is quite risky while driving. In a previous video, I had installed an Apple CarPlay plus Android Auto interface to a friend's BMW i3 with iDrive MBT. You are welcome to visit that video. The i3 has quite a different installation and it is a fun DIY too. So that's when I had the idea of doing the same to my E90 M3. In this way, I can enjoy the latest infotainment technology on my 2008 E90 and make the iDrive screen useful again. Therefore, I began to look for Apple CarPlay interfaces that are ideal for me. Some of my friends have complained about the poor sound quality of the interfaces they have. So I chose this Apple CarPlay plus Android Auto interface from Mr. 12 Volt in Hong Kong, which can be integrated to the MOST system of the car. MOST stands for Media-Oriented System Transport. This communication sub-network is designed to transfer large amounts of data. So optical fibers is used to construct the system. And the high-end audio system, such as a top hi-fi, as known as Logic 7, or the individual audio, utilizes MOST circuit to transfer sound signals to the amplifier. Please see my previous video about removing the CD changer option from the car. I have a more detailed explanation about the MOST structure and the coding work. But that's too much for this video because this Mr. 12 Volt interface is plug and play. No coding is needed, although the product description requires a CD changer to be equipped. If you have any question about reconnecting the MOST circuit, you are welcome to contact me anytime. I bought this interface directly from the official website of Mr. 12 Volt, and they provide free international shipping. The box contains the main module, and the cables and harnesses lie underneath. Here we have the optical fiber loop for modifying the MOST circuit, the external microphone for hands-free and voice assistant features, the LVDS cable for display signal, and the power harness. This is the most satisfying part of the unboxing, isn't it? Wow, the module body has a glossy finish. This makes me feel like keeping the vinyl films, but for the sake of cooling, I have to remove it anyway. I think the quality of the module body is so-so, obviously made in China with cheap plastics. And also look at these harnesses and connectors. I have seen these parts available on Taobao and AliExpress. Low cost as expected. Anyway, we will see how the performance is. This kit costs $429 US. Let's hope it's worth it. In this work, we need a pry bar for removing dashboard trims, a Phillips screwdriver, an 8mm hex socket, T12 and T20 Torx bits. Actually, the zip ties are not used here, but it's good to have them ready. Here, I also prepared Tesa 51608 fleece tape to make our work look more tidy. This is the wiring layout of the original iDrive system. The heart is the CCC head unit. There is a main connector on the back of the head unit. It consists of several cables such as power, car communication network, most fiber optic, etc. The line to the iDrive controller knob is also on it. The head unit processes all the information and sends graphical signals to the iDrive screen via an LVDS cable. In this DIY, we need to completely disconnect the CCC head unit. Now, the main module of the Apple CarPlay plus Android Auto interface is going to read all the information that goes in and out of the head unit. The power harness bridges the main module and the head unit in a fashion of serial connection. This allows the interface to be controlled by the original iDrive controller knob. The original LVDS cable sends iDrive graphics to the main module. Then, the main module works like a video switch that can project the user interface of Apple CarPlay or Android Auto or the original iDrive to the display screen, respectively, via another LVDS cable. A fiber optic loop is used to integrate the main module to the MOST circuit, so the digital audio signals can now be transported without loss. The Apple CarPlay plus Android Auto interface further has an external microphone input. This is for the hands-free and voice assistant features of the smartphone. The smartphone links to the interface via either Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, or USB port. The playback of media in a USB drive is also supported. That's going to be a lot of fun, isn't it? So that's all for the wiring plan. This work is going to take around 4 to 6 hours, so we had better start the DIY walkthrough now. The park light switch cluster is the first part we are going to remove. Use the pry bar to pop it out. Disconnect the two connectors at the back. Then, pry the right end of the front air vent trim to pop it up. Gently pull it outward a little bit. Then, pop the left end up. Disconnect the start-stop push button. The trim can be fully removed. Next is the aircon control panel. Pry at its right and left edges to pop it out. Disconnect the three connectors at the back. There is a trim panel in front of the CCC head unit. Also pry at its right and left edges to pop it out. Now you see the body of the CCC head unit. We are going to take this big guy out. Be careful of your shift knob and center console trim. Don't leave scratch marks on them. Undo the 4 Phillips screws and pull the head unit out. Be careful, it's pretty bulky. Disconnect the 4 connectors at the back of the head unit. This is the main socket, the cooler fan power, the antenna, and the original LVDS cable to the display screen. We have to further remove the holder rack of the head unit to make more room for our wiring work. Undo the 4 Torx screws with T20 bits, and undo the 2 hex bolts with an 8mm hex socket. Just pull the holder rack out. Now we have plenty of room for arranging the additional harnesses. Undo the 2 Torx screws on the top edges of the display screen. The whole screen can be popped out. Disconnect the 2 connectors at the back. This one is the original LVDS cable we have to remove and swap with the new one that comes with the interface. And the old one has to be retracted to the bottom of the center console to join with the interface. So some efforts behind the dashboard are needed here. With the original LVDS cable out, major disassembly work is done. Tidy up the original LVDS cable. Later, it will join with the interface module in the dashboard. Take a break before we move on to the next step. Look, this is what usually happens after wiring works in the dashboard. Even my cats don't do this to me. For the routing of the new LVDS cable, I choose to go via the front of the aircon evaporator, just for simplicity of the work. After the LVDS cable are arranged, restore the display unit. Now let's do the wiring work. These are the 2 quad-lock connectors of the power harness. The original quad-lock connector of the head unit is here. As I mentioned earlier, the interface has to join the most circuit, so the connector of the original green fiber optics here has to come out and to be split by the orange fiber optic loop, which will then be connected to the head unit on the new quad-lock. Use the pry bar to unclip the original fiber optic connector from the original quad-lock connector. Then we will do the same thing with the connector in the middle of the orange fiber optic loop. The original green fiber optic goes in the spare socket we just got here. And the orange fiber optic connector will go to the head unit via this male quad-lock of the power harness. So plug the orange fiber optic in here. The other male connector of the orange fiber optic loop will go to the module, and the female connector will join with the original green fiber. So now you have the picture. Let's tidy up all these harnesses before we finish the installation. This end of power harness will go to the main module. There are reserved signal lines such as a reverse light signal input, 12-volt power for the front camera, power for the rear camera, right side camera input, front and rear camera input, and the USB cable which will be routed in the cabin for use. However, the installation of the camera is out of the scope of this video, so I'm going to tidy up these loose cables and save them for future projects. Here I use Tesa 51608 fleece tape to wrap these loose cables. This looks a lot better, isn't it? And I will route the USB cable to the front passenger's footwell, just like this. Remember to set the DIP switches for the specific version of your CCC head unit. For me, switch 1 off for the iDrive knob with resistance, no use for switch 2 and 3, and switches 4 and 5 off for the 8.8-inch Type A display. Now the main module is ready for connection. Due to the very limited space behind the CCC head unit, we have to first settle the main module before all the wiring works. There is some space in the dashboard near the passenger side. I'm doing it like this. The module sits vertically with its sockets facing to the front of the car. Let's do the orange fiber optic loop. The female socket joins the original green fiber optics. The male end goes to the main module, deep in there. So I had to loosen the cable tie to adjust the length of the loop. Now, let's plug in all the connectors. First, the power cable, then the orange fiber optic loop, the LVDS cable, the original LVDS cable, lastly, the microphone input. As you see, it's a mess at this moment, so the main module won't easily sit into its place. Take some time to position it properly. The main connector, the cooler fan power, the antenna, and the original LVDS cable are staying on the back of the CCC head unit. However, the power harness also takes up some space down here, so it is going to be very crowded. We must take some time to tidy these harnesses up since the head unit has to go all the way in the dashboard. We can now put everything back, restore the holder rack in the reverse order. Reconnect the quad lock connector, the original LVDS cable, the antenna, and the cooler fan power. This is how the back of the head unit is going to look like. The power harness runs from left to right. The cooler fan is sticking out and is going to get in contact with the power harness. I will use a long stick to lift the power harness to go around the cooler fan so the head unit can sit all the way in. You may need to adjust the harness several times. Don't give up. Now just restore every trim panel in the reverse order. We are very close to the finish line. The microphone also needs some routine work. In the official demonstration of Mr. 12 Volt, the mic is installed in the front of the instrument cluster. However, the original microphone for hands-free function is located in the interior light switch panel. So my idea is to run this mic cable across the steering column, all the way to the outboard, via the A pillar, and going all the way up to the roof, going along the top of the windshield, and arrive at the switch cluster. Let's go ahead to remove the instrument cluster. Lower the steering column to make more room. Use T20 Torx bit to undo the two screws on the top. There is one connector on the back of the instrument cluster. Remove it and take out the cluster. That socket looks like this. Now run the microphone cable to the A pillar. Open this trim to reach for the microphone. We are going to remove this trim to run the mic cable in the A pillar. Use the pry bar to unclip this cover. Be careful not to break the clips. The Torx screw underneath has to be removed with a T20 bit. Then just pull the trim outwards. The trim is held by another plastic clip sitting on here. It looks like this, and it may take some effort to line up with the hole when restoring the A-pillar trim. I'm going to attach the mic cable to this harness so the cable won't interfere with the airbag. I unclipped these harness holders for easier work. After the mic cable is fixed, we can restore the A-pillar trim. Run the mic cable to the interior rear view mirror along the top of the windshield. Next, let's remove the interior light switch module. First, remove the light diffuser. One of the two locations of the clips is here, abeam the center of the reading light. It is not easy to remove, so please pay extra patience for this step. Now you see the metal clips. They are right here, and we have to push them like this. Run the mic cable to the back of the light switch module. The original microphone for hands-free feature is here. Simply pop it up with the pry bar. I'm going to wrap it with the fleece tape and just leave it at the back of the switch module. And the new microphone will just sit in here. We do not need this microphone mount anymore. Just squeeze the microphone into the original mic socket. The sponge windscreen will help fix the mic. Nice and easy. Now from the cabin, the microphone will look like this. Pretty neat, isn't it? Restore the switch module in the reverse order. The microphone wiring part is done. This is the last trim panel to restore. Connect the start-stop push button. Install the air vent trim panel. Connect the park light switch cluster. And we are done with the installation. Time to test out the interface. The interface is called up by playing the CD in the iDrive menu, although an actual CD is not required in the drive. Then, the top menu of the Apple Carplay plus Android Auto interface will replace the iDrive display. It is ready to connect to your smartphone. And to switch back to iDrive, just press the original volume control knob which is the mute button, or press the menu button. The display will return to the iDrive user interface. The simplest way of connection is via USB cable. Just plug in the USB cable for your iPhone or Android phone. The connection is automatically established and the desktop will be shown on the display screen. Wireless connectivity is also available. Go to the Bluetooth setting of your phone, find the device name Mr. 12V_968D and pair it. Wait a short moment for the phone to sync with the interface. When the connection is established, the desktop for Apple Carplay or Android Auto will be shown automatically. The wireless connection is a pleasant feature to me because the cabin is going to look tidy and it is easier to operate the phone without a cord, but not while driving. Simple is the best. The interface also supports mirror play via Wi-Fi connection. Navigate to the mirroring app of the interface. For iPhone screen mirroring, you will be prompted to connect to a Wi-Fi host named Carplay_968D with a password 88. On the iPhone, connect to the Wi-Fi host as instructed. Your phone will automatically recognize the interface as an AirPlay device. Look, Mom, I'm on TV. The setup for an Android phone is a bit complicated. First, download the mirroring app and link from the official website of Mr. 12V. Install the application anyway. The interface will instruct you to enable the USB debugging of the phone. Press the build number 7 times to activate developer mode. Then find USB debugging and turn it on. First, connect to the interface via Bluetooth as we did earlier. Secondly, set up a hotspot on the Android phone. Use the given host name and password. Then return to the app to start mirroring. Now the screen of the Android phone is projected to the interface. Before I give my comments about the Mr. 12V Apple CarPlay plus Android Auto interface, I want to talk about the high-end sound quality that I have been looking for. With the default equalizer setting, the first impression of audio performance was not satisfying compared to that with using the aux-in cable. The vocal in the music sounded rather flat, not clear to me. After I adjusted the equalizer with a simple audio tuning tool, the audio sounds closer to my expectation, but still not outperforming the aux-in cable. I am not a car audio expert, but my guess will be that the treble is the weakness of this interface. If you know something about this, please kindly share with us in the comments below. So let's move on to the other comments about this product. I will mention the pros first, then the cons. The interface does not require an external antenna, so it is easier to install with less wiring around the main module. The user interface is fully controlled by the original iDrive controller knob. I was surprised by how easy it is to scroll the options on the screen. The cursor navigates clockwise or counterclockwise when we turn the controller knob. It is pretty straightforward and there's not too many options on a single page. Thus, you won't be too distracted while driving. and this is much safer than keeping my head down to look at the phone on the center console. Another surprise to me is that the multifunction buttons on the steering wheel also work for the Apple CarPlay plus Android Auto interface. Here, I can turn the volume up or down, skip between songs, activate the voice assistant,
send a message to Carl.
What do you want to say to Carl?
I am almost there.
Your message says, I'm almost there. Do you want to send it or change it?
Send.
Done.
Okay, Google. Navigate to work.
Navigating to work.
Okay, Google. Stop navigation.
Stopping navigation.
However, there's no play/pause button available. This shortcut button is reserved for iDrive, and there's nothing to do with the interface. I have to use the iDrive controller knob to navigate to the music play menu to pause the playback. This is somewhat inconvenient, but I can bear with it since there are some other pros with this interface. The interface also knows when your headlights are on. At night, Google Maps automatically switches to dark theme. This is another proof that this Apple CarPlay plus Android Auto interface is well integrated to the car area network, so the original controls on the car can be utilized to control the interface. Okay, that's enough for the pros. Let's talk about the cons. The low quality of the iDrive display is the first thing you will notice about the Apple CarPlay plus Android Auto interface. The resolution and the contrast are just not satisfying. Well, yeah, we just cannot expect this old LCD from the 2000s can compete with modern products. So if you have a high demand for video playbacks, this can be a big disadvantage.
In 100 meters, turn right onto the ramp.
The overall volume of the interface is controlled by the original iDrive system.
Turn left.
When you turn up the music volume,
Continue straight.
the navigation switch is also turned up, so the notification becomes a bit uncomfortable. I wish that the interface system volume can be fixed while the volume of the media playback is being adjusted. As I mentioned earlier, the Mr. 12-volt Apple CarPlay plus Android Auto interface allows wireless connection of the smartphone. Although this is an attractive pro to me, there is a noticeable lag when using wireless CarPlay. Due to the data transfer speed limitation of Bluetooth, this is just inevitable. The lag is okay for me, but if it becomes annoyingly slow, we will have to use a wired connection for sure.
Now this 2008 BMW E90 is equipped with a modern Apple CarPlay and Android Auto interface. To fully utilize the wireless connection feature, I am going to install a wireless charging pad for my smartphone, so there will be zero harnesses between the phone and the car. I bought a wireless charging pad from Inductive in the US, and I will show you the DIY installation and give my review on this product in the next video. Where do you think in the car is the best place to put down your phone? You are very welcome to leave a comment down below.
Oh, there's one feature we haven't mentioned about, the camera input. As we saw in the walkthrough, there are lines for front, side, and rear cameras. And in the system menu of the interface, there's also display settings for the camera inputs. I had retrofitted a reverse camera to this E90, so I just configure it as an OEM camera and to be activated by the reverse key. Pretty easy, right?
Wait, is that a S2000?
Wow. Wow, so rare. And it has a stick shift. The original E90 did not have the reverse camera, so it will be really good to have this modern technology too. However, this video is becoming too long. Please excuse me for saving this project for the future. I will plan for a good presentation about the camera installation and review.
So that's all about this Mr. 12-volt Apple CarPlay and Android Auto interface installation. I hope you will enjoy both the DIY and using this product. If you have any thoughts about using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto or this particular product, please also comment and share with us. See you soon. Bye-bye.